Well, hi again. We're going to pick up a conversation about self care and how important it is. As I mentioned before, I was a physician working 80 hours a week and not practicing any self care. My health got dangerously horrible. I got addicted to drugs and alcohol. I crashed and burned. And now, on the other side of things, 12 years later, I regularly practice a lot of self care because it's so critical. We have to do it. We talked last episode a little bit about why people sometimes don't do it, and I'm hoping, especially if you're in recovery from drugs and alcohol problems, that you learn and practice self care. And we've talked about some ways that we can do that. Today, I would want to talk about a few things that I've seen on the internet that are sort of purported to be good self care, but in my opinion, actually are really horrible ideas and can actually stress you out and make your life worse. And so I've seen this on some videos on YouTube. I don't have the exact names to give credit for all the ideas, but here we go. One idea I saw being promoted was the idea that if you just do work that you're passionate about, that you love more than anything, that this is a great way of sort of not having so much stress. And there's no doubt that doing things we're passionate about can be fun, but the reality is every job has its mundane things and its stressful things. Like, I'm part of a production company and I enjoy the idea of making videos and movies. But even though I'm passionate about that, there is stressful work to be done and deadlines to be made. And so, whether it's pre-production, writing a script, casting locations, finding a cast, the actual filming and production times, and then the editing, which thank God I don't do because I think then I would have a drug and alcohol problem again, that you realize that just because you're passionate about an idea doesn't mean it's a great way of de-stressing. It's still actually maybe a great source of stress and burnout. So that's just one idea that I wanted to think about. Here's another one. Take a vacation and unplug. And as I thought about this, we do need vacations and they're important. But sometimes if you're just taking a vacation to run from your job because there are things going on there that are so horrible, that are stressing you out, when the vacation's done, and that's even if you can enjoy it at all, you come back to the same mess. And so the point with this is sort of the idea that sometimes the self-care that's involved is dealing with things at work. And I know there's a lot of really hard things to deal with, whether it's bosses you don't like or they don't like you, or the hours or the people, or, there's a saying that people don't quit their jobs, they quit their bosses, because it's the bosses that drive them crazy and stressful. So I'm not saying don't take a vacation, just realize that the vacation may not be the answer to helping prevent burnout as a great self-care technique. The answer may be in the other things driving the problems, say at work or even within your family. Here's another one. Have a drink or two to unwind. Now, look, I am not saying that a person shouldn't enjoy a cocktail or two or a glass of wine, or for that matter, a nice piece of cheesecake or whatever. But when the answer is, I am going to take this in order for me to deal with the stress, as opposed to just say enjoy it with company for the sake of enjoying it with company, then it is not really a very good self-care technique. And it's not a good self-care technique in its own right, even if it doesn't escalate. But unfortunately, drinking and drug problems often do escalate, and you start getting into addiction issues and things like that. And so be cautious. Nothing wrong with a drink or your favorite food, but if you're dealing with stress by eating a cheesecake at 2 in the morning because you're so wound up about a problem, then that is probably not good self-care. Here's another one, and I know many people have thought this. If I just quit my job, damn it, I'm out of here. I'm just going to quit it. And with that, we understand the sympathize and empathize with that. And certainly during even times of COVID, boy, that has been on people's radar. If I just move somewhere else to a different location, a different job, everything will be so much better. And there's a real danger with that. You can ask yourself questions like, do I have 3 to 6 months of income saved up, so if I move, I'm going to be able to make it financially okay? And is this just an emotional reaction, or is this a real thought out, carefully executed plan? And sometimes the things we do for emotional feel good on the spur of the moment can have a lot of long-term consequences that are not very positive. So that I would be very careful about just saying the way I'm going to take care of myself is just quit my job. I'm not saying, though, that with a proper plan and execution, maybe finding a different job is absolutely the right answer. Another one that can be trouble is just the idea, treat myself. You're under a lot of stress, just treat yourself with whatever feels good. And I'm not talking so much about drugs or alcohol, but what about if you're ordering stuff online? If I just order more boots or a nice outfit online, I'm gonna feel better. I'm just gonna treat myself to really cool things. And often, for a variety of reasons, people find that after they've ordered and opened the last item, that they no longer feel any sense of peace or relief for doing that. There's also an idea of something called Hedonic Adaptation. And that is, you can get a new, you can get something really cool that's expensive. You get a new house, you get a new Ferrari, but after about 3 or 4 weeks, the joy and the thrill of having a new thing wears off. And then you're now in a position of having to get some other brand new thing to have the same kind of thrill. And that's very hard to keep up with. What else? Just say no. Just say no. Oh, man. Just say no. Very difficult to do in terms of if we're at work or living with your family. Most of the time, people that can just say no are wealthy enough or independent enough to unilaterally be able to say no and really not have consequences. For most people working at a job where they're not the president, they're really not able to just say no. There'd be a big risk of firing and bad consequences. And so I think sometimes the boundary settings and just saying no as a response can end up not being a great way to take care of yourself. Yeah, and there are alternatives. For instance, suppose you feel like your boss is dumping extra work on you for whatever reason. Rather than just saying no, a different conversation might be, well, yes, I can do it, providing I have enough people and resources and time and help and that sort of thing. So you come across as a a team player who's doing good work, but also acknowledging that you just can't add another thing to your totally crowded plate without some help, and you'll be respected, and in the long run, that actually might make your job better and less stressful. And then another one, it's sort of related to quitting your job, but the idea of, to take care of myself, I just need to change my scenery. I just need to go camp in the mountains for a month. And I love camping in the mountains. I love cooking the food in the campfire and the stove, and the beautiful scenery and the lakes. I love that. But again, if your problem is a job that has major things wrong with it, just taking off to the mountains may leave you in a position like, oh God, this vacation's going to end and I'm going back to work and I still have the same dread and the same stress. And so I'm not saying anything against, there's anything wrong with having a change of scenery or camping or going to the beach, but sometimes where the self care takes place is actually trying to resolve some of the issues that may be at work or at home, so that you can enjoy the time in the mountains and the change of scenery a little bit better. So, anyways, we've talked about some things that people sometimes get really excited about, saying this is a great way to take care of yourself. And I just wanted to put out there that some of these ideas may lead to more stress and not accomplish what you're hoping to do. Just be aware of that as you take care of yourself. Anyways, we'll see you next time for the third part of this series, where we're going to talk about putting together a self-care plan and some of the things to do and sort of how to think about what works and is good for you.